This is a candle making place here in Big Lake, and maybe you've been here and maybe you've got stuff in your house that was made at the Mud House. And I asked Velma Dane, who's the manager over here, if I could come and watch and observe while she did some candle making. And there's a specific reason that I wanted to do this. We've been talking about whether or not we're changeable, and I wanted to see if candle making had anything to do with our changeability. And sure enough, we're going to get to making all the connections in a little bit. But first I want to show you some things and have Velma show you some things. So come on in with me. We're going to go into the Mud House and talk to Velma.
I'm going to get some wax, which is 170 degrees. So we keep water in here so it doesn't scorch. So we usually keep it around here and always keep it at 170.
Let me get that thermometer in here too.
So it's very hot. Color it. We're going to use dye to color the wax to make it look like a pie shell. And then there's the color, and then we're going to, this is how we stir it up. And at that time, if we wanted to put scent in it, we would go ahead and put our scent in it at this time. Anyway, we're going to make the mold, and how we made this is we bought silicone, and we just made a mold out of a ready-made pie shell. We're going to pour it right into the mold. And we want it topped off. And you can see right here that it's cut. And then I just put a rubber band around it. That's what holds it together. So when it dries, then we can take it out. And this is what we get. I made this ahead of time. This is our pie shell. Made out of wax. So that's what we're going to get. It takes about 4 hours for it to set up.
Do you have to do anything for it to set up?
Nope.
Or it just, now it really does just set for 4 hours?
It sets for 4 hours. And then at that time, we're going to take the rubber band off and we're going to peel it apart. And then this is what we get. Cherry, blueberry. Let me show you how to make these. I'll show you the forms on these. The same as the pie filling. This is how I make the apple. The apple and the peach. This is the blueberry. This is the raspberry.
So this is the same idea as the pie crust form.
Yes.
And this is either apple or peach depending on what color wax you put in it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I can even make limes. I'll show you, I made limes. I make a fruit salad in bowls with whipped cream on it. And this turned out to be a lime because I used green. Everything is you can burn this candle, this pie candle. Okay.
So this is not just something that you just set up on the shelf and look at. You actually, this
can
is
burn
a real
it.
candle.
Yes, it is. Everything in the pie can melt.
And when you burn it, does the Does everything melt together in the
Yes.
pie shell?
And now what we're going to do is we're going to put the fruit in. And you chose raspberry. So I'm going to let you stack your raspberry. And I'm going to get a bucket and we're going to put your pie filling in there and we're going to melt it.
Okay.
Pie.
Just fill the whole thing. So I'm just stacking raspberries until the plate is full.
Yes, sir.
So just keep going.
Keep going.
I like the form that these
Yeah.
came in. Did you build the forms for
No.
the fruit?
No, I actually bought the forms from a online store.
But you built this one?
I built that one.
And you used the silicone?
Yes. You can buy the silicone online on Amazon. I bought it on Amazon. And you just mix it together, put whatever. I built a little box. And whatever you want to form, you pour some silicone, put it in there, and then cut it away, and there's your form. The head and put in little forms. So when I need a pie, I can just grab these and melt them down. And you can smell the blueberry.
And how long will it take this to melt?
It shouldn't take but about 5 minutes.
And you just kind of know about how much you want to put in that pie.
Yes.
Because you've got a whole bunch of these.
We want to cover the pie. We don't want to cover them completely where you can't see what they are, but we want them covered where they are seen, but you can't see the bottom.
With this
I came up with this one day because a lady came to me and asked me if I could make some kind of candle because her family has a bake-off on their family reunions. And she said, I want to do a prize for them, and we're having a pie bake-off this year. So I told her, well, I can see if I can do a pie, because I had actually made my grandkids large cupcakes out of a butter bowl that were a candle and decorate them like a birthday cake for their birthdays. So this is what I came up with. And now they're so realistic, everybody wants them. All melted
It's
down.
already melted. That didn't take long at all.
No.
Okay.
And then what we're going to do is we're just going to fill in the void. Just like God does to us. And we have a blueberry pie.
Now that will take a little time to set up as well.
It shouldn't take, because it's very thin and all of our stuff is cold. So it shouldn't take maybe 5 minutes at the most.
And our pie crust over here is already starting to harden, but
Yes.
you want it in there for long enough that it's really solid.
This is the thinnest part of it because this is your bottom. But your sides are thick. So we want all of it to harden really hard. And then what we'll do is we'll start peeling back. You can see that it's still real soft.
So that was a pretty cool process to watch, wasn't it? I sure enjoyed it. And I want to say thank you to Velma, and you can say thank you to Velma when you see her around town for letting us in on this process. What Velma did was make something beautiful using the molds and all of that kind of thing. What I want to talk about is this verse. So let's read the verse first, and then I'll make the connections for you. This is from Romans 12, verse 2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Now there's a lot of stuff to unpack in here, and we're not going to try to do it all in one shot. So for today, we're just going to look at the very first part of this verse where it says, Do not conform to the pattern of this world. See, the word conform is actually exactly what you watched when you watched Velma pour wax into a mold. When she poured the wax into the mold, the job of the mold was to conform that wax into something specific. Now, this is great if you're making a pie crust like Velma was, but what if the wax is poured into something that's not great, something that's ugly, or something that is deformed or misformed? Well, here's what I think Paul is talking about when he says, do not conform to the pattern of this world. If the pattern of the world was a good one, then we would want to conform to that, right? But I think we would find that the pattern of the world is not something we want to conform to. Let's look at what the pattern of the world is. The world's pattern is self-centered. It's about me, me, me. It says life is about me and whatever I want and whatever I'm looking for and whatever I'm trying to do. The pattern of the world is very self-centered. The pattern of the world is also very pleasure-oriented. This is where we hear the phrase or use the phrase, if it feels good, do it. The world wants us to believe that how stuff makes you feel is more important than whether something is right or wrong, whether it's good or bad. How it makes you feel becomes more important than those things. The world's pattern is pleasure-oriented. This leads to all kinds of things, as you can imagine, from all kinds of addictions to pornography, to just more self-centered kind of living. If it feels good, do it is still all about me, me, me. And this pleasure-oriented pattern also gives you the excuse to not do what you know is good. I didn't feel like doing it, so I didn't do it. One more thing about the world's pattern. The world's mold is about tearing one another down. Now I'm about to step on some toes here because I think y'all will feel this one personally. It has become normal, and this is not God's idea, it's the world's idea, that we tear each other down with the things we say, with the things we do, with the way we treat each other. This has become normal. We've been molded into the world's pattern of tearing one another down. We drag each other down with our words. We mock each other. Our favorite forms of entertainment are about making fun of somebody else. I'm not wrong, am I? The pattern of the world is to tear one another down, and we have conformed to this pattern. If you think this doesn't apply to you, if you think that you have not conformed to this pattern, then I just want you to ask yourself a few questions. When was the last time you made fun of somebody else? How often do you say, I deserve such and such? Or how do you respond just when you don't get your way? We've all conformed to some degree to the pattern of this world. Go back to the caterpillar for just a second. The caterpillar lives this all about me life. Remember, the caterpillar, all he does is crawl around and eat, 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 eat. That's the only contribution he makes to the world. Unless he becomes food for some other larger animal, then I guess he's contributing to the food chain. But he doesn't fly, he doesn't pollinate, he doesn't contribute. He just does whatever is best for himself. Do not conform to the pattern of this world. Let me try one more image of this to see if this helps. You might not be able to tell from this picture what is happening, so I'll help you out. This picture represents what is referred to as a buffalo jump. There were some Native American tribes who would trick herd of buffalo into running off of cliffs, and this became an efficient way to kill them in large numbers. Now, of course, this was more about survival than about hunting ethics. They needed the buffalo for eating and for all kinds of things that the buffalo would provide for them. But the point for today is this. Under ordinary circumstances, no buffalo wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I'm going to go jump off a cliff. And when he comes to a cliff, he doesn't look down and say, it's not that far, I think I'll just go ahead and jump. Under normal circumstances, the buffalo would look down at the edge of the cliff, turn around and go the other way. But under the stress of being chased, the herd instinct is not to pay attention to what's happening, it's to do what everybody else is doing. And the herd instinct is so strong that the buffalo, one after another, or several at a time, end up all jumping off of the same cliff. When we let the herd tell us how to behave, if we get used to doing what everybody else is doing, then it shouldn't surprise us that when stressful times come along, we keep doing what everybody else is doing, even if it drives us right off the cliff. So here are the points for today. The stop doing thing is a simple one and a very difficult one. The stop doing thing is stop acting like everyone else. Stop acting like everyone else. There will be different ways for you to practice this. Some of them will be really simple, but it's all related to the start doing thing as well. The start doing is just start paying attention to the ways that you are conforming to those around you, ways that you are behaving, ways that you are thinking that will indicate to you that you've conformed to the pattern of this world. Stop acting like everyone else. Start noticing ways you have been conforming to the world's pattern.